Upholding high education standards is more challenging than ever, especially when teachers have to find new ways of engaging students amid today's digital distractions. And in uncertain times, it's hard to even keep students in school. What you need are smarter, innovative solutions. Meet the next generation classroom, where students and teachers can rediscover the joy of learning even beyond classroom walls. It opens a window into another world and lets us change countless lives with a touch. It makes every lesson a rewarding exchange as teachers track and motivate their students' progress. When educators can transform the way they teach, they can transform the future and move imagination beyond space and time. It's time to equip your institute with powerful, future-driven learning solutions that empower educators to defy the limits of the conventional syllabus. Solutions that mobilize the innovators and game changers of tomorrow and enable students to learn independently from wherever they are. Already, we find that distance can bring us closer and break down the barriers that held us back from sharing great ideas with the world. Now, we can build new information networks that keep us connected even as we stay apart. Together, we can build a school without walls, where learning without limits can open the door to smarter education for all.
On behalf of all of us in Lenovo Singapore, good evening and welcome to this Facebook Live event. For students and parents, I hope you're enjoying the school holiday. My name is Marcus Lowe and I'll be your moderator tonight. You must be familiar with the name Lenovo. It's after all only the world's largest PC maker. But did you also know that Lenovo is also a leading brand for education? In fact, our mission, Smarter Technology for All, is today synonymous with the seamless experience that students, teachers, and parents enjoy wherever from they teach and they learn. And through Lenovo's EdVision initiative, we hope to bring together a community of people, schools, and tech partners to gear up our students for success in today's digital-first world. Tonight, we'll be chatting about the challenges of teaching and learning from home when home-based learning returns. So ask your questions by leaving us comments anytime throughout this event and stand a chance to win some attractive devices from Lenovo. What are these devices, you ask? Well, we've got a Lenovo Smart Display 7 that's worth $129. We've got a X1 ANC headset that's worth $277. And an M10 tab that's worth $300. And joining me tonight, live here in the studio, are some familiar faces to those of us who take an interest in home-based learning and related technologies. They are Ivan Sim, the lead of Lenovo Singapore's REL Enterprise Business, Lily Chu, founder of Little But Mighty Education Center, and Kelvin Ang, author and founder of popular parenting blog Cheeky Monkeys. A warm welcome to today's Facebook Live, guys. Thank you for joining us. How about saying hi to everyone who's tuning in right now, and please introduce yourselves. Maybe we'll start with Ivan.
Hi, my name is Ivan. I'm from Lenovo. I run the Singapore commercial business, and one of which is the education sector. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lily. I'm the founder of Little But Mighty Education. I'm also a mother of 3 boys, and one of whom will be my primary 1 son, who has officially entered the phase where he has to take out HBL.
Hi everyone, my name is Kelvin. I'm the founder of Chicky Monkeys, a parenting portal where I share about activities that parents can get to enjoy with their kids in Singapore. I have 3 kids. The eldest is age 16, my second is 14, and my youngest is 10. So yeah, so I'm in the full spectrum of HBL.
Thank you. Thank you for your introduction, guys. And tonight we'll be chatting with each of you about your experience when we returned to home-based learning last month. And we also want to find out how technology helped in that transition. For viewers, you'll stand to enjoy also 10% off Lenovo's ThinkPad devices when you shop on Lenovo's online store. Simply key in the code education10 when you're making your purchase. All right, I repeat, key in the code education10 when you're making your purchase and stand to enjoy the 10% discount. Okay. With that, let's start. To set the scene for this evening's Facebook Live, let's take a look at what Lenovo's EdVision initiative is really all about. Let's see.
Technology is changing the way students learn. The future workplace is changing fast with the implementation of technology. New technologies empower educators to defy the limits of the conventional syllabus and to mobilize the innovators and game changers of tomorrow. As smarter technology unfolds, upholding high education standards becomes more challenging than ever, especially when teachers must contend against digital distractions to keep their students engaged. In the next generation classroom, however, students and teachers will be able to rediscover the joy of learning, even beyond the classroom walls. Equipped with smarter tools that put eager minds at the center of learning, teachers will be able to help students maximize their success and better prepare them for tomorrow's technology-driven jobs. Working toward the goal of helping students excel in the digitalized world, the Lenovo EdVision program offers continuous learning and enablement. Tailored specifically to the needs of students, Lenovo EdVision strives to build up and tighten the community of educators, students, and parents, creating an education landscape where ideas and information can flow freely. Collaborating with schools, educators, and industry peers, Lenovo EdVision is leveraging on technology for teaching and learning. With easy-to-manage technology from Microsoft, educators and students get all the classroom needs they need to increase overall education success and improve learning outcomes. When educators can transform the way they teach, they also transform the future and move imagination beyond space and time by enabling students to learn independently from wherever they are. At Lenovo, we believe smarter technology helps transform education today and build a better future. Working with experts in education and our own technology industry peers, we aspire to help educators create the best teaching and learning experience with smarter technology. Lenovo EdVision. Smarter transforms future education.
Back, and to all our viewers, once again, I invite you to ask your questions in the comment section, in the chat box. And if you leave us that comment anytime, you stand a chance to win some attractive devices from Lenovo. So ask your questions and fire it away, and we will take them on later, right? Now, Lenovo Singapore, as you've seen, is big on EdVision and what we can do for the education sector here. We commissioned a survey in October last year, following Singapore's shift to home-based learning in April. The title of the survey is Deconstructing the Home-Based Learning Landscape in Singapore. We wanted to better understand the challenges that parents and teachers were facing, what were the technology and tools that were used during home-based learning, as well as to gather viewpoints toward the future of education. We spoke to over 500 parents and educators, and here are some of the main findings from the survey. For parents, here's the parents' perspective. For parents, the number one consideration of home-based learning is a safe and disease-free learning environment for their children. Now, to prepare for HBL, 55% of parents invested in a new tech device, 44% of parents upgraded their Wi-Fi, and 36% of parents read and paid special attention to issues like cybersecurity. More than 1 in 2 parents wished for interactive training for their child. 53% of them wished for more user-friendly software to be available to them and for their children to better cope with home-based learning. And 50% wished that they had good hardware options for home-based learning. Those were some great insights that Lenovo found as part of this EdVision survey that was done last year. Now, for educators, 70% of them thought of home-based learning as mainly online assignments and quizzes. While educators felt that home-based learning allowed students to learn at their own pace at any time, about 57% of them say that students had difficulty in paying attention to classes online. About 50% of them felt that schools need to invest more into teacher training so that they can teach more effectively online, just going beyond online assignments and quizzes. The educators that we spoke to also shared about the challenges of teaching online. They talked about the difficulty of replicating classroom learning experiences or in assessing students' learning outcomes. 63% of them wish that they had access to user-friendly apps for teaching, while 50% of them wanted more time to redesign their lessons for home-based learning. In mid-May this year, schools again had to pivot quickly to home-based learning. And in just a moment, my guest and I will be chatting about that experience right here on this Facebook Live event. And before we do, let us watch a video that features Lenovo's IdeaPad Slim 3i, which is a device that's equipped with all the necessary tools and features for a worry-free home-based learning experience. Enjoy the video.
Bonus round.
And welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let's kick off the conversation with our guests, Lily, Kelvin, and Ivan. Kelvin and Lily, first question goes to you. As parents of school-going kids, youth and children, what was this year's move to home-based learning like for each of you? Maybe we'll start with the lady, Lily.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sure. I think when my husband and I, we heard that there's a possibility of HBL happening again. As a parent, I actually felt really curious about how it's going to be like because ultimately my 3 sons, they're only aged 3, 5, and 7 this year. So this will really be the first time that we're assuming the roles of parents with a child who is going to have home-based learning at home. So for Paul, who is in primary 1, I think the school has actually prepared him pretty well and also prepared us as parents pretty well. So as much as it may seem a little daunting, I think we feel rather familiar with the platforms that he has to be using during this HBL period. And for that, I think we also try to think about things like, what the devices that we'll need at home, as well as the space that he will require. But I think generally we try to be cool And so far, I think, we managed to survive it. So I think we deserve a pat on the back for sure.
That is encouraging.
Yes.
And well done. Well
Yes,
done.
thank
for
you
the
so
transition.
much.
Kelvin, what about your experience?
Well, I think compared to last year, this year was definitely, I think everybody handled it much better and with less stress because I think everything, when HBL was announced, the situation at home, I think, ran like, I would say, clockwork. Everybody knew like which corner of the house to go to. My youngest daughter, okay, I choked the bedroom, and then my son, my two other sons, one was in the bedroom and one in the living room. Then even my wife also, because she has to work from home and I have to work from home, we also had occupied two ends of the dining table. So I think essentially compared to last year, all of us knew where our positions in our home office would be, and it reduced a lot of chances where you just walk behind behind my sons while he was ongoing lesson. Yeah, so I think we handled it pretty well. I think it's because of experience.
I see. Wonderful. It's good to see that the demarcation of spaces was a lot clearer this time around. Well done, and congratulations on that transition. Ivan, as somebody who's worked extensively with schools and with educators, how has Lenovo's EdVision initiative impacted the overall teaching and learning experience in Singapore schools?
Okay, look, as Lenovo, we are the technology and also devices provider. So with this home-based learning and also distant learning, so we, although supply a lot of devices to school, we also discover that there are some of the challenges that surface during this period. And of course, we took those feedback, and then through continuous improvement, we also try to see what are the methodologies that we can help in fulfilling and facilitating this part of the journey with the educators as well as the students. So with that, although we have a large variety of devices to cater to different needs at different levels, with this, we also get feedbacks that there are certain areas that we can improve, and also to better facilitate should there be any new initiative coming up. And as we all would agree, technology moves very, very quickly. So are all the apps. Yeah.
From speaking from personal experience, it's so great to see that the devices are suitable for use both in the classroom as well as at home.
Right.
Is that a deliberate design philosophy on the part of Lenovo?
No, in fact, the equipment are all quite generic. It's the application from the school per se that they have some apps that actually control this, especially for parents and then students, when to restrict students from, having a free hand on what they can access to. And that's very important. Yeah.
Okay. And, back to Kelvin. In the EdVision survey that I shared earlier, we saw that technology played a big role in helping parents to transition to home-based learning for their children. Could you share more about your experience in preparing your home? You talked about spaces.
Yes.
Share with us a little bit more experience about how you prepared your home so that people could work peacefully and amicably with one another in this period of home-based learning.
I think when HBL started, it's important to really find pockets of space within the house, as well as because these spaces would have to be conducive for studying as well as working. And a lot of times, because for lessons especially, the teacher might need the video to be on, might need your mic, you need to answer questions. So and there are a lot of instances where, the lessons are conducted 8 a.m. to, let's say, 10 a.m. and my 3 kids will be having lessons concurrently. So we had to make it a point where, we had to segregate them so that, when one talks, the other teacher doesn't hear from the other child. So, but I think a lot boils down to mutual understanding and tolerance. We have to accept, and we have to embrace whatever that is here and make the best out of the situation. And I think, like I said before, compared to last year, I think a lot of us, not only my family, I think a lot of my friends and their kids as well, we have adapted well. And the common usage of the word pivoted, right? It's the rage nowadays. I think we have pivoted and we have changed our mindset and embraced the technology that came with it.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
actually the key takeaway to that is that in addition to the technology that we have, the human connection and human
Yes.
empathy is still
That's right.
central in making it happen.
Yep, that's right.
And on that note, there isn't a profession with a greater need for human empathy than in education. So I'm pivoting to Lily now.
Yes.
Lily, as a founder of an education center, could you share more about how you prepared yourself and your students for home-based learning?
I think for us, it's sort of like preparing for a camping trip into the woods, honestly, because we need to make sure that you have the equipment that you need. You need to make sure that you have, you need to be prepared to expect the unexpected as well. So in this sense, for our staff, for our teachers, I think having the experience from the previous year, it definitely helps. And then for the students, I would say again, because of what happened last year before, even the parents, everyone feels more prepared and more ready to embrace, like what Kelvin has mentioned, this need to transition to HBL again. So in that sense, we are really grateful, that parents are supportive, and really everyone is just ready to try and make this work for the children to ensure that learning continues as smoothly as it can possibly be. So of course, for us, learning from what happened last year, our teachers also, we actually launched a full online program, and that also helps because everyone feels more prepared that way. Yeah.
And in your hunt for the right equipment for home-based learning,
Yes.
learning from what happened last year, what were you looking for when you were setting up these devices to make sure that the learning experience at home was seamless for your children? Maybe to Kelvin?
Okay. I think the key consideration is the ease of use of the device, because kids, being kids, especially for primary school kids and those in preschoolers, they need a device where it is simple enough for them to use. But actually, I think in this day and age, I think they're more of expert than the parents sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But overall, I think, yeah, and also the ability where parents can able to sync with their kids' devices as well, because I think right now parents are more concerned of managing the screen time as well as controlling sort of the sites or whatever sites that they get access to. So I think that I think for me is the top two considerations.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about Lily, for your education center, as people pivoted to home-based learning, what was the central role that technology had to play to facilitate a seamless learning experience?
I think the concern from parents generally is about the quality of the lessons, whether it will be compromised, and so things like whether there's instant assessment of the child's work, as well as how delivery will be. I think these are definitely factors for us to consider. So finding the right platforms to ensure that we can tweak our curriculum accordingly and really bring about the best remote learning experience for the children. I think this will be the main factors that we have in consideration.
Okay. Well, earlier I talked about how Lenovo was synonymous with being the largest PC maker in the world as a brand. Today, it is also known as a great brand for the education space. It has transformed itself to become a company that is focused on services and solutions. Ivan, I'd like to get your insights about this transformation. Maybe you can share with us a little bit about what inspired this shift for Lenovo, and how is it doing in Singapore in making this transformation?
As a user of a lot of all these technological devices, and with that usage, there is actually an ecosystem whereby how you plan, how you use the device, and then up to the end of the life. And a lot of time we discover that, look, with these devices, you also need a lot host of other services that actually make the user experience much more holistic. So with that, we decided to see how we can actually bridge all this together to provide, in fact, most user a more palatable experience using these devices. Yeah.
Okay. Would education centers, let's say Lily's education center, be able to tap on some of these services so that education really helps to create that kind of a seamless learning and teaching experience?
Yeah, definitely. Because as a, let's say, center owners, if you have a whole lot of all these devices, and the next question is who will help you to deploy and hook up all this. So with that host of services, we can actually potentially take that part of the hassle from you, from you having to do it yourself.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, Ivan, and thank you, Lily, and thank you, Kelvin. For now, and now for all our viewers who are tuning in right now, I'm pleased to share that on top of these amazing prizes that you saw that were on display earlier, you can also stand a chance to win the latest IdeaPad Slim 3i from Lenovo. All you need to do is to answer these 3 questions correctly. And here are the questions that we have. All right, so this is the first question. It's coming up. Okay, all right. So here's the first question. We were obviously very thoughtful about putting out this question. But before we go into the question, let's make it fair for everybody and spell out what the rules of the game would be, okay? The rule is this. A question that will be put out, we will give you options, like an MCQ, multiple choice. Put in place the number of the correct answer in the comment box. All right, and I'll be reading out the question right now. The poll for question number 1. In 2020, Lenovo Singapore and ITE came together to launch an initiative to bridge the digital gap among students. What is the name of this initiative? Okay. That's question number 1. Let's move to question number 2. Question number 2. In 2020, Lenovo Singapore conducted a survey with parents and educators. I spoke about this survey earlier. How many parents and educators were fielded in the survey? All right. Great. Question number 3. In 2020, Lenovo Singapore conducted a survey with parents and educators. And according to this survey, what is the percentage of parents who invested in a new device to prepare for home-based learning? What is the percentage of parents who invested in a new device to prepare for home-based learning? Okay, type your answer into the comment section. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Thank you for everybody who participated in the survey. And we are tabulating the scores, tabulating the entries to arrive at the winner of these 3 questions. And the winner stands to win the latest IdeaPad Slim 3i from Lenovo. Okay? I don't know about you guys, man, but I'm anxious about who the winner would be.
Oh, yes.
That's a really great product to win. So the answers have come in fast and furious, and the winner is... Drum roll. Okay, and the winner is Omana Priya.
Yay.
Congratulations. Congratulations. You won yourself the latest IdeaPad Slim 3i from Lenovo. The Lenovo team will be in touch with you on how you can collect your prize. Thank you for participating in this quiz. Okay, now we have also received good questions from the audience about what we spoke about earlier, the challenges of transitioning from school, from classroom to home-based learning. And we have 3 esteemed guests in our studio today who fielded answers and shared their experience and insights about their own experience in making this transition. We're going to take some questions from the audience now. First question comes from Celine Paisley Tan. And Celine Paisley's question is, how can parents be equipped with knowledge to help their kids with HBL? That's a nice question. How can parents be equipped with knowledge to help? Because I think it's a great question to ask because the teachers are not there in person. You know, you are at home with your parents, parents with children. What can parents do? So maybe this question should go to the educator among all of us. Let's invite Lily to answer this question. What can
Sure.
parents do, Lily?
Well, thank you, Celine, for this excellent question. I think the first thing I'll have to say is communication, actually, because like what Marcus has mentioned, ultimately when HBL is going on, teachers are not there, but that communication should still be kept open. And of course, prior to the whole HBL, lesson to be conducted, there should be, it will help if there is a site or if there are actually manuals that parents can have access to in order for them to know what are the things to set up for the child. Even factors like having the conducive space, having, say, a headset, for the kids when they're having the lesson. I think all this will be very important for the parents to be aware of as well. So I would say communication, and I mean, as an educator and also as a parent, I appreciated it very much when, my child's teacher communicated with me and shared with me the schedule, what are the things I need to take note of. So I would say those will definitely be important in helping a parent to feel ready for this HBL.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I just want to go one step further to that, which is, you spoke from the experience of a parent. Now, from the experience of an educator, as lessons get translated for online learning, what are some of the things, best practices that you would advise either schools or parents to do to make sure that the transition is seamless and it conveys the same impact as classroom learning?
I think, of course, as an educator, to prepare them, before the lesson, like I mentioned, I think having some clear instructions, a channel where they can access all this information is very important. So setting up a website, for whichever the teacher may be, or even having announcements, that will be helpful. And of course, for the educator, tweaking the lesson, that is always important as well. So, tweaking the lesson in the sense of understanding that this will be via an online platform and what are the restrictions, but how to actually go out of the box to make this restriction something that we can exploit. Yeah, so things like having online quizzes but in like a game version, which is something that the children may not be able to do digitally in class. I think that again increases engagement for the kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, for all of you who might not know, Kelvin, who is in our studio, is also an author, and the book that he wrote was around 500 things to do in Singapore. So with this question that focuses around what can parents do to help their children, I think maybe I'd like to invite Kelvin to just share some of your thoughts on what can parents do to better engage with their children to help them with home-based learning as well.
Firstly, I agree with what Lily had said. Communication is, I think, as with all HBL sessions, I think parents, firstly, because most of the time, teachers or the tuition center, enrichment centers would have emailed beforehand, a list of instructions prior to the lessons with all the login passwords as well as the links. So I think parents need to accustom themselves to all this information first so that, not 5 minutes before and then everybody starts to search, what's the password, what's the login ID, what's the link, send me the link to this computer. Yeah, so that I think increases the stress level. Okay. And so I think it's important to do that homework beforehand. But engaging wise, I'm a parent for 16 years, so one thing I've learned is that kids feed off your stress levels. So when they see the parent is stressed, naturally, they will feel stress also. So if they see the parents, kanchiong, what to do, I don't know how to log in, I forgot the password, I can't get into this, for example, SLS, the kids will also feel anxious, and that in turn will affect them. So, so I would tell parents that, just be cool about it, be calm, do your homework beforehand, and just enjoy the process with your kids. You can learn as you go along together with the kids.
Okay, so parents do have to become a stabilizer amid the chaos that could potentially take place at home. So to children who are at home and wanting to understand a little bit about what goes behind the scenes and what goes behind in the mind of your parents in making sure that you get a great experience at home, please empathize. They're also human. Let's be patient with one another. Yeah. So Celine, who asked this question earlier, thank you for doing so. You actually have won the Lenovo Smart Display 7. So thank you for putting your question into the comment box earlier. Other people whose questions get selected also stand a chance to win those 2 remaining Lenovo devices that I talked about earlier. All right? So let's move on to question 2, shall we? So in question 2, this question comes from Jared Chan, and the question is, the frequency of home-based learning can be intensive for young kids. That's true, Will innovative and interactive ideas such as quizzes be integrated with Lenovo solutions? So we spoke also about parents who want not just great devices, but better training software and apps, Do you think, Ivan, maybe in your view, what do you think are the merits of integrating quizzes and interactive solutions as part of Lenovo solutions?
Well, the integrations of quizzes, all these definitely increase their attentiveness, and definitely with the attentiveness, of course, the students' learning experience will be more enhanced. And with the integration of other, software solutions and things like that, so it actually enables the teachers, educators to actually keep tab on the learning journey, and also to know whether if the student is paying attention or if the student is having some issues and, a question that the educator can actually make known at the earlier stage, or thereby they can actually formulate some remedies to help those learners. Yeah.
It's like rain checks along the way.
Yes,
right?
yes, because you are actually speaking with quite a fair bit of people, and that is not live, and you're just relying on a lot of intuitive solutions and also apps to help you to monitor.
Yep. Now, back to Lily, in the design of these engagement opportunities, quizzes, puzzles and all that, what are some of the best practices that, teachers should look out for as they try to incorporate quizzes into these solutions?
I think first and foremost, definitely you have to consider the age of the children, the students. In fact, for our lower primary children who are like P1, P2, we actually try to make sure that during the Zoom sessions that we have with them, instead of quizzes which are, which requires them to type, we actually get them to have really big body movements, get them to move around, because we know these are the kind of things that children who are bursting with energy need at the P1, P2 level. But when you talk about children who are older, quizzes like this will definitely be helpful because they feel excited to use the device, and it allows the teachers to be able to see their progress instantly. So I think the age and how we want to engage them, this will be what we want to consider. Yeah.
Great. And back to Kelvin. Earlier you talked about how spaces were agreed upon. If we want to experiment with more physical activities to help younger children get prepared? You know, do you have a tip or two to share about how we can share these spaces in a way that's amicable to all parties at home?
Well, I think going back to last year during circuit breaker, I think space at home is a premium lah. And really because you get cooped up together for I don't know, for more than it's really close to 24 hours, right? So I think it's you have to find ways and means to engage with one another. And one of the things that we've found to be useful is to just have create like mini competition. You know, it can be parents versus kids, you know, or you know, siblings versus another sibling. So we do like who can mop the floor, the cleanest, who can clean the toilet bowl, the cleanest, you know, things like this. So you turn things like housework into something fun, like gamify. You gamify. I think Lenovo also is also going towards that. You know, you're trying to gamify all the processes, you know, so that, you know, to better engage and capture the attention of kids, because I think now kids nowadays they are attracted to that, and so when you gamify something, they tend to you know, to want to do it, and because, you know, it's fun. So as long as you make things fun at home, you know, I think it's worth a shot.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, Jared's question, I think this Jared has a great question, but I think the response is very closely aligned to something like, you know, the lessons are important, the interaction is important. Go beyond the textbook, go beyond the book, think about activities that you can do, whether it's physical activities, and to make it even better, it goes beyond the lesson. You know, Calvin shared about gamification of household chores, and that has proven to be quite effective. So I hope that answers your question, Jared. And Jared, congratulations, you are the winner of the ANC headset. Congratulations. Let's move on to question 3. Question 3, and this comes from Eric Teo. And Eric asks, will AR or VR be adopted for home-based learning in the future? And what can Lenovo do to evolve with incorporating AR and VR in lessons and in the classroom? And I think this goes to Ivan, who might be able to share a little bit about Lenovo's plans for augmented reality and VR.
In fact, for AR and VR, it is already commercially available. And it is right now used in a lot of various large organizations whereby physically the person cannot be there, but there is work to be done. So incorporating this AR, VR into the futures of learning, we see that, look, there is a very large possibility. Why? Because as this evolves, a lot of people may not, or even for adults, you know, they need certain trainings or experience hands-off that for whatever reason they cannot be at the site. So this technology can actually help and then to bridge this gap. So the question is, will this be available and then evolve along? Definitely, I would say is a yes. Yep.
You know, Ivan, just to share, I had some experience in the education space. One of the pilots of a VR project that I happened to be involved in was a history project, where instead of reading about history from a textbook, the student gets transported into the scene so that the student would be able to experience in a multi-sensory way what actually happened at the point in history. And it proved, because it's multi-sensory, I think the opportunity to learn and absorb that information and understand it proved to be a lot more effective.
Yes, definitely.
Do you see that as
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because from the traditional way, you just look at the pictures and the photos. With this AR, VR thingy, you can actually, like what you mentioned, multi-sensory, and it actually makes you transform into so-called that era, and you can actually feel it better.
Okay, okay. I'd like to just pull in Lily here about the idea of technology like AR and VR, which is quite frontier. How do you see these technologies changing the landscape for education centers like yours?
I think like what Ivan mentioned, definitely, you know, if we have the resources to get the teachers trained for it, the possibilities will be limitless. You know, it really opens up a lot of, you know, this whole opportunity for the kids to learn. So, I mean, it's not just for English in terms of, say, writing about a place, description, you know, it's even like history, like you mentioned, geography. So, I think as long as, I mean, ultimately it is, you know, something that's, I think, we can move towards. And as long as we are able to onboard the teachers and, of course, get the children to pick it up, which I'm pretty sure they'll be able to do it very quickly, you know, it's going to enhance learning for sure. Yeah.
All right, and so going beyond gamification, Calvin, and space limitations, which we all experience, you know, perhaps VR and AR opens up the possibility of a limitless space that that children would be able to learn in, right? You see that also contributing?
I mean, just a step down. I mean, obviously, AR and VR is, as you said, is the frontier of the way moving forward. But I think what COVID has shown us is that, you know, pre-COVID, we couldn't have imagined that we can watch a live stream of the Sakura season, right? Or even live cam at the zoo in US. Before that, we had to travel, we had to fly there, then we could experience for ourselves. But because of the travel restrictions in place, all this have opened up, and we could just, you know, from our home, we can click the mouse, choose, you know, where we want to go in the world. And I think this is actually, it serves as a precursor to where AR and VR can take us. And it really engages the kids, because nothing beats just like what Ivan's mentioned, just flipping through textbook, looking at outdated photos, you know, looking at outdated videos. But this is live, it's live stream, and I think kids would be better engaged if they are presented in that with that scenario.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your sharing. So, Eric, congratulations once again for this wonderful question. You are the winner of the Tab M10. The Tab M10, that's a fantastic tablet from Lenovo. And for all of you who have asked your questions, but the questions we weren't able to answer those questions, please feel free to reach out and visit us at Lenovo EdVision.com.sg, where some of these questions I'm sure would have been answered in the Lenovo site. I think there's a treasure trove of information over there to help you to transition and create a conducive home-based learning environment for your children, for parents, and even for teachers. Yeah? So please feel free to visit that site. Thank you so much for the amazing questions. On that count, I'd like to be able to share a little bit more about smarter technology for all. You know, we spoke about the importance of technology in our day-to-day life, in education, and you must be wondering, what does smarter technology for all really mean? And what does it mean when Lenovo says that it wants to create a world that puts technology into the hands of everybody, and smarter technology can really improve the lives of millions and millions? Let's watch a video to better understand what the smartest technology for all stand for. Here we go.
Up next, ladies and gentlemen, we have the smart diaper. Now, this is going to revolutionise the way that you parent.
The smart diaper.
These days, everything is smart. What's wrong with smart? Nothing.
Oink oink, Piggy says good job.
But smarter. Smarter thinks big. Smarter helps destroy cancer with precision. Smarter 3D prints a bridge out of steel. Smarter makes the fastest faster. Smarter lets you binge watch without being watched. Smarter sees the future of medicine in deadly venom. Smarter sends school kids on field trips without leaving the classroom. Smarter uses big data, AI and 5G to fight climate change and feed future generations. Because the toughest challenges demand smarter technology.
Babies will love the smart diaper.
We do too.
Take that, smart. Lenovo. Smarter technology for all.
All right, welcome back, viewers. And as they say, you know, all good things must come to an end. And on behalf of all of us at Lenovo, I'd like to thank Lily, Kelvin, and Ivan for sharing with us your insights and experience and spending your time in person with me here this evening in the studio. To close, may I invite each of you to leave us with some final thoughts that you'd like to leave with our viewers. And on that count, maybe we'll start the other way. Let's go with Kelvin first.
Last thought. Well, I think pre-COVID, I don't think anyone could have envisioned that, everybody could be working from home. All students would be having home-based learning. But somehow we all managed to pull through it. We did it, and we did twice. So I think the challenges will always be there, and whether be it known or unknown. But I think for parents and kids, it's important for parents, I think it's important to walk this journey together with our kids, because it is really something. I would say we would look back in years to come. We will look back, in this, and we would have thought to ourselves that we have gained something from it, and I like to think that it's something good.
Thank you, Kelvin. Lily.
I've always believed that, it takes a village to raise a child, and I agree fully with Lenovo that it takes a connected village to raise a child, especially in the current situation that we are in now. So I think whether you're an educator or you're a parent, or even if you're, a child who is, tuning in tonight, know that you're not alone, in this journey that we are on, and that, it's difficult, but when we work hand in hand, definitely we'll see hope and we'll be able to move along further together. So hang in there.
Thank you. Thanks, Lily.
Yeah.
And Ivan, any final thoughts, please?
Yeah, we all know that this home-based learning is here to stay, which is why Lenovo coined out these EdVisions to get educators, students, and also a lot of other technologies vendors to come together, and let's embrace this. And together, I believe, as I mentioned earlier, technology moves very fast, and it is for us to embrace and then move forward.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Ivan. And I think it's a wonderful sharing and a great recap. Kelvin, you talked about the fact that we need to journey together. Yeah. It's a wonderful learning experience amid all the chaos, but we will emerge stronger together, right? I think, Lily, you talked about the importance of a connected village and how Lenovo is enabling smarter technology for all to enable that connected village, right? And Ivan, thank you so much for joining us and telling us about Lenovo's position on this very important issue. I'd like to also then invite you to maybe remind our viewers about EdVision on our site, as well as the 10% discount that they stand to enjoy.
Right, yeah. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, please embrace on this EdVision program, and we actually welcome a lot of new ideas and also methods in making this learning journey together with all the students. And don't forget to purchase the Lenovo products. Remember the code Marcus shared earlier on is the Lenovo 10.
Education 10.
Education
That's
10,
right.
yeah, before you check out.
All right. Thank you, Ivan. So please take that in mind. Visit edvision.com, lenovoedvision.com, Singapore. Register your interest to find out more, because there are many conversations that are happening in this space, a lot to learn, a lot to pick up. Visit the site, learn more, and if you have questions, drop us a note, and somebody from Lenovo will respond to you. And if you're thinking of getting a ThinkPad device, take this chance, key in Education 10 when you check out from Lenovo's online store, and enjoy a 10% discount off the product, right? So grab it while the stock is there. And on that count, thank you very much once again for joining us, everybody. It's been a pleasure hosting you. Have a wonderful evening. And 4 more days before we move out of Phase 2 Heightened Alert. March on and have a wonderful week ahead. Have a good night.
Thank you.